Starlight Glimmer, Ember, A True Love by Switch Diablo. A few months after that Starlight met Ember for the first time, she hasn't even get her off her mind. She thinks that Ember is very brave, loyal, and most of all, beautiful. She hasn't even told any pony about anything about her feelings for Ember. But ever since she has met her first time, Ember had came back to Ponyville for a visit from time to time. Mostly because of talk about the dragon-pony relationships. And every time she meets or even sees Ember, her heart is beating faster and faster for every time. She just wanted to walk up to Ember and tell her how much she cares about her. But at the same time, she is afraid. She is afraid that Ember would say, "Oh, I'm sorry, Starlight, but I'm not into ponies, only dragons." And that would hurt her more than she expects. Starlight wanted to at least tell some pony about this, but she didn't exactly know who she could tell. Because she was afraid if she told some pony and suddenly that pony will spread this word into next, and soon every pony in town would know. But Starlight decided to tell one particular pony she trusted the most, and that was actually Trixie. Trixie was very surprised that Ember was the one Starlight loved so much, but she was supportive of her, and she promised not to tell any pony about it, since she made a pinky promise. For the next couple of days after, Starlight practiced magic with Twilight, but every time she was practicing trying to focus on the magic, she couldn't stop thinking about Ember. And during the practice, when Twilight was shooting a beam of light to Light, instead of protecting her with a barrier, she couldn't even focus on that particular spell. And then, just at the moment where she was trying to focus on the barrier spell, actually was hit by the beam of light, and Twilight was surprised that Starlight didn't focus on that particular spell, even she had practiced that spell for at least 10 times by now. Starlight, are you okay? You seem to not on focus. Oh, yeah, I have been sleeping so well last night, said Starlight as an excuse. But you sleep so well on the night, but how can you been... I woke up in the middle of the night and couldn't go back to sleep until 5 in the morning. Oh, well, maybe you could try something else, like herb tea or something to go back to sleep. Well, I can try, but not so sure if that works, but I can try, said Starlight. Well, I think it's time for Robert's practice now, since you can focus so well. Yeah, maybe tomorrow then. Yeah, said Twilight. Starlight was very surprised that Twilight was even letting her go so easy. But Starlight decided not to end her practice then afterwards. So she actually decided to go to the park for practice on some spells she had learned recently. But every time she practiced, she couldn't even stop thinking and even stop about Ember. She had a very hard time to even focus on a simple spell. Even if she tried to practice with Trixie, she couldn't even practice even then. She could even stop focus on any one of those simple spells. But the most she wanted to do is just walk up to Amber and tell her how she feels. But she can't even do it. And she knows that Amber is a dragon lord and also very much busy and very much occupied with her work at the Dragon's Lands. And the time when she comes for a visit, she only stays there for a day or two at most. And when she comes into town, she often sends a letter enhanced. But one day, they actually received a letter from Amber telling Twilight that she is coming over for a visit. But this time is not for diplomatic, only for a short time. She needs a small vacation for about a week. But since she had made so many progress in Dragon's Lands to make the ponies to accept friendship and even spread friendship to others, she had actually made a new reformation of the ruling of Dragon's Lands. She actually formed a council of 4 dragons that can rule the Dragon's Lands in her absence. She has been working so much that she needed vacations. She was burned out of so much work. But when Starlight found out, she was beyond happy. Now she has some more time to even spend with Amber. But at the same time, she wanted to tell Amber about her feelings. But at the same time as well, she's afraid that Amber would like her in the same way back. But one day, she actually arrived. Amber was spending some time with Twilight first. They talked, and she spent some time with Spike, and they talked a little bit. But after they talked, Amber decided to just walk around town to see if something new had happened, and even meeting some new friends. But most of the time, Starlight was even in the castle at the time. She was actually in the park. While she was sitting there in the park, she was talking to herself. How can I even tell her how much I feel for her? She is the most beautiful, more beautiful any pony has seen. I can't even tell. She's a very important figure in her part of the kingdom, but how can I even tell if she will even like me back? That dragon is the most beautiful I ever seen. Oh, Princess Amber, how can I even tell you? Tell me what? And Starlight was not prepared for any response, especially from Amber. She slowly looked up in front of Starlight. Amber was now standing in front of Starlight. And Starlight, she was so in shock. She couldn't even say a word now. Starlight was so in shock that she couldn't even say a simple word in front of Amber. Every time she tried to say something, it just said, I. That was the only she could say. She was speechless. She had no idea to say to Amber now. Even she was right in front of her, she had the right moment to tell her. But did she? No. Amber was just standing there. Are you saying that you are in love with me? Said Amber. And even since then, Starlight had no answer for her. She could even think putting a simple word out, not even in a yes or no. All she did was just actually nodded as a yes. So, you're actually really in love with me. And Starlight just nodded again. And Ember was now just smiling at her without saying a word back. Is it true that you are in love with me? Said Ember. Yeah, it is true, said Starlight back. Starlight now could even start blushing, and Ember, she was just standing there and smiling. Starlight was prepared for an answer that, "Oh, I'm sorry, Starlight, but I'm not interested in ponies, only dragons." And Starlight was prepared for it. But instead, Ember was laying off forward and smiling at Starlight, and then she kissed Starlight right there. And she said, "I love you too, Starlight." That made her even blush more. "But I thought you would only like dragons." "How could you even imagine that? I'm allowed to love any other creatures." "Sure, I like dragons, but you are something special." "Really?" "Yeah." And then Starlight asked if Amber wanted to go out with her, and Amber just nodded and said yes. They decided to go out the same evening. When they went back to the castle, Starlight was not prepared for that kind of a response that they were going out. But she was still happy for Starlight, since everything came to live there with her. And Spike was happy for his friend that Amber had found her special song pony. And in fact, they had so much great time at their dinner the same evening. So they continued dating, even that Amber went back to the Rango's lands, but she came back from time to time, and Starlight went to Rango's lands to be with her for some time. But most of this is that they had so much strong connection. Starlight didn't expect that Amber would ever like her back in the same way, but she did. And just barely 5 years later, Starlight and Amber was actually married. And they held their wedding in Canterlot. Starlight had asked Twilight to be her bridesmaid, and Amber had asked Spike to be her best man, or sort of bridesmaid. And they had actually a great time at their wedding. And they actually celebrate their honeymoon in first Crystal Empire for 1 week, and then went to Saudi Arabia for 2 weeks, and the last final week in Dragon's Lands. And they had so much a great time on their honeymoon, and especially to be in so many places in just one time. I mean, it's a short time. They were actually so deeply in love with each other. And 6 years later, Amber and Starlight had talked about maybe to start a family. And they asked Twilight for help. And Twilight tried her best and used a spell that she had used on several other ponies in town. But since this was actually between a dragon and a pony, so there was a bit challenge for her, but she managed to make Starlight pregnant. And just a few months later, she had a daughter, which she named Shadow Song. Even that Shadow Song was half dragon and half pony. She was still very talented, gifted in magic like her mother, and also very much had inherited her other mother's fire-breathing ability and also her speed. But there was most one thing that she had inherited from her mother was singing talent. Ever since she was little, she had the most beautiful voice. A lot of her friends, family, they all loved her singing. And she wanted to be a music teacher to spread this music happiness to others. So she actually started a school for music in Dragon's Lands. And at first she was not expecting that any dragons would even let there were any dragons with talent in singing. But in fact there were like 20 to 30 dragons kids who was actually very talented in music. And she later got married with Garble's son, and they had 2 sons and 1 daughter of their own. And that's how Amber and Starlight found a true love at the end.